聚焦全世界，带您探索这个世界。欢迎收看《巨人的挑战》，聚焦德国难民潮。我是舒梦兰。2015年的夏天，一场二战以来最严重的难民潮席卷欧洲。因为在阿拉伯世界的革命，最后却演变成残酷的内战。短短4年，高达400万的叙利亚人被迫逃离家园，流离失所。这张照片让全世界心碎，也让欧陆最富强的德国愿意敞开大门接受难民入境。于是100万的叙利亚难民从土耳其出发，搭着人蛇集团安排的小船，冒着生命危险横渡地中海，到达希腊，然后一路搭车或是步行北上，最后抵达德国。他们流亡的路线蜿蜒曲折，因为多数的欧洲国家都关闭了大门。为了记录这场影响全欧洲甚至全世界的难民潮，我们的拍摄团队从首都柏林到边境，走访5个关键城市，就要带您看看这波世纪难民潮如何改变欧洲第一强国。1月，新年刚过，柏林街头异常宁静，空气在冰点以下。布兰登堡门上的胜利女神俯瞰的林荫大道生气不再。德国正迎接历史上最寒冷的一个冬天。低温之外，还有不安，因为从边界涌进的100万难民潮，正撼动着这个欧陆最强的巨人。这里就是德奥边境，穿过这条桥，在我的后方就是奥地利的萨尔兹堡。从2015年9月开始，成千上万的中东难民就是像我现在一样，穿越这条桥进入德国，展开新的人生。So, where are you from? You speak English? German?
Ja, das Problem ist, wie gesagt, ich habe den Eindruck beim Essen jetzt.
我们现在的位置就在德奥的边境桥上，可以看到现在即使是已经零下10度，但是还是有难民穿越这座桥，然后来到德国。So, you are from Syria?
English.
即使是零下10度低温的严冬，依旧挡不住求生的本能。Oh, Taliban attack you when you was a child.
Your brother, Afghanistan Taliban.
Your brother was there.
Brother, Afghanistan.
Shoot your brother.
Да, Taliban.
So how many days you walk from your country?
Germany.
Okay, you want to come to Germany.
Germany.
即使无法用英文畅所欲言，但是 Germany 德国一字，却是每个难民心心念念向往的国度。
In the winter 3,000, in the summer 6,000. The best day was in May. Then the 12,000.
12,000. One day. Thirsty? Starving. And
Manja. Oh, let's go.
Huh?
5 minutes. And then you come in the warm boat. Okay?
就像先前进入德国的100万难民一样，埃雅一行人从此有了新的开始。Freilassing 是个面积只有2平方公里、15000居民的边境小镇，但每天却有好几千个难民跨越疆界进入德国。 即使到了深夜11点，还是有满载着的难民巴士一辆接着一辆来报到。长途跋涉，身心俱疲，难民们眼中是疲惫和进入陌生环境的不安，当然也有重生的欣喜。第一站的安置中心会先确保难民身体状况无虞。德国门户大开，却也担心 IS 恐怖分子会借此混入，全德国的联邦警察动员到第一线。德国边境小城 Freelassing 现在是难民入境德国最重要的门户。奥地利政府会将所有难民集中，然后以巴士载运到这边，最后再由德国联邦警察接手。因此，这里也是难民入境德国之后的第一站。
This is the point where we can check if they are terrorists or if they have done crimes or something else. So these two steps are very important.
远离家园绝对是一个无奈且痛苦的决定，尤其在逃难的过程中，每个难民全身家当最后多半只剩下一个背包，装的是永远不够暖的衣物和对家乡的满满回忆。难民入境德国，办完身份确认手续之后，就会被带到这个房间。这里全部都是德国人捐赠的衣服和鞋子，各种尺码都有。而这些衣物就让跋山涉水逃离自己国家的难民，终于有了安定的感觉。
Viele Flüchtlinge sind nur mit Badeschuhen gekommen und haben das erste Mal dann feste Schuhe bekommen.
来自德国四面八方的爱心捐赠，抚慰了一路颠沛流离的身心。临时收容中心一次最多能容纳500人。登记确认身份之后，德国就会将入境的难民依照比例原则分配到全国各个城市乡镇。
Germany, we go for Berlin. Thank you for German. Thank you very much.
So, where are you from?
Iraq.
Iraq.
Iraq, yes. I want new life, happy life, everything life. Thank you.
逃离烽火，寻求新人生，对这些难民来说是一场生命的远征，而这一站只是起点。现在走在柏林街头，很容易看到许多中东面孔，特别是这一条图斯坦子街，因为柏林市的社会局所在地就在这里。所有来自叙利亚还有其他中东世界的难民，他们第一站要申请政治庇护的合法身份，就要来到这边。柏林卫生暨社会局，简称 LAGESO， 是登记和处理难民事务的主要机关。因应蜂拥而至的难民潮，在市区搭建了好几个白色的简易帐篷，里头备有暖气和食物。Risa 和哥哥嫂嫂一家一共5个人，花了2个星期从阿富汗逃到德国。
We had 5 brothers but we are 4 brothers. Unfortunately, in Afghanistan, one my brother killed by Taliban. From Turkey to Germany, 2 weeks.
Are you excited?
Oh, excited, yes. I'm excited.
Ich heiße Sarah.
她的名字叫 Sarah。哦，Sarah。Hi. How old is she? The oldest. 5. Hello. 柏林街头成了中东市集，境内所有闲置公共设施也都变身成临时难民收容中心。100万的叙利亚难民来到德国之后，在申请到正式的政治庇护身份之前，会被先收容在临时的收容所，而这对德国来说是一项沉重的负担。所以现在全国所有的闲置建筑物，包括一些公寓，还有一些闲置的机场、工厂、学校的体育馆，都成为临时的难民收容中心。像是这一间柏林市区的疗养院，也成为其中一个难民营。就连市区旅馆也成了收容所。So here is the place you live in Germany.
Yeah.
Zaki 20岁，和哥哥 Zabi 来自阿富汗，家人是政府官员。5个月前，大哥先失踪，接着父亲被塔利班组织杀害，一家人开始逃亡。
Some people follow we are family, maybe in 1 o'clock in the PM, in the night, and the police shoot. They tell me you must do running, go running, and my brother, 2 brothers, come with me, but come with me. Police, Iran police gave my brother, and we go. We wait in Turkey. Maybe they are coming in other way, and they all don't call me, and we don't know where is my 2 brothers and other brother.
So they are disappeared.
What?
Disappeared.
Yeah, and we must to come here.
2兄弟付了18000美金，相当于61万台币给人蛇集团，花了1个月才抵达德国，但中途就被丢包。
In that time, we don't have a hostel. We must sleep in the street, in the park. And this is only we have in here.
So the clothes you brought them from your country?
No, and in last month we buy in here.
Ah, okay.
We don't have house in Afghanistan. We don't have home. Yeah, nothing. Don't have, yeah.
度过街头游民的日子，现在被安置在这个旅馆里，包吃包住之外，每人每月还有350欧元的零用金。
سلام خدمت تمامی دوستان عزیز فارسی زبانان گرامی در اقصانوات این
Is it language class?
Yeah, language class.
To teach you how to speak German.
Wir können sprechen German super.
سارا به آلمانی تلفظ میشه.
So you can speak some German?
Ja, ich kann. I tell you, ich kann sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch.
How to say how are you in Germany?
Ja, wie geht es dir?
Oh, okay. So how to say good morning?
Good morning.
Oh, okay. So how to say we're from Afghanistan?
Ich komme aus Afghanistan in Germany.
Okay. 空闲时学习德文，现在的 Zaki 只希望赶紧拿到庇护身份，完成中断的大学学业，展开新的人生。
I want to first learn and next I work in here and maybe I help and other people they all stay in line. It's like you in the line. I want to have normal life.
There are people who bring the refugees to Germany and earn a lot of money and then they leave the refugees in Germany out of the car, and the people don't know where they are and what they should do. And so it's important to have a look here in the car, and if we found refugees, to bring them to our station, to our office, where they can get their asylum. We often have much refugees in small cars. For example, a car like this, normally for 4 or 5 people, we have 10, 11, 12 refugees inside. It's you can't imagine this if you don't have seen it.
百万难民背后是百万个伤痛与心碎。来到德国，虽然不再有战乱和生离死别，但他们要面对的是一个未知的将来和全然陌生的世界。不安与恐惧依旧如幽灵，如影随形。